Hey family, welcome to the Daylight Experience. I am Monica Day, your host. So, I had a very interesting conversation with a cousin this weekend. And so, her question was when you have a friend or a loved one that you suspect or know is in an abusive relationship, what do you do? How do you help them? And so I was like, "Ooh, that's good stuff. Maybe I'll do talk about that on the Daylight Experience." And so that's what we're talking about today: is how do you help a friend or a loved one that you either know is in an abusive relationship or that you suspect could be in an abusive relationship. And so one of the things I want you to be mindful of is that when a woman is in an abusive relationship, that first of all her self-esteem is already ripped to shreds, and her self confidence is probably no more, depleted. Like, she just does not believe in herself anymore, and the skills and knowledge that she has. And so the first thing I want you to do is, and understand, is that you need to build her up. um Stop going at her, girl, you need to leave him, he ain't no good, he ain't this. Well, but how does she do that? You know, don't keep quit telling her what she needs to do. Because here's the thing: if she's in an abusive relationship, trust me when I tell you that he's telling her what she needs to do. He's telling her what she needs to wear, how she needs to look. She doesn't need that from you also. She needs a support system that's going to say, girl, you got this, you can do this. You had this before you got with him. You've done this, you got that degree, you bought a house, you got a car, you got a job. You can build her up. Remind her of the things that she has accomplished and done, and remind her that she deserves better. Um, for safety, I would say the first thing I want to tell you is that have her do a safety plan. And maybe you can do one with her, and do one for yourself, and she can do one. Um, a safety plan is not just for somebody that's in an abusive relationship. A safety plan is just for, I mean, anything can pop off at any time. So it's not a bad thing to have a safety plan. You can have a safety plan not just for an abusive relationship, but what if somebody breaks in the house? What if a fire breaks out? What are you going to do if there's an emergency situation? That's a safety plan. And so the first thing I think would be very beneficial and is very important is a code word. Some years ago, there was a movie out called Enough, and Jennifer Lopez was in that movie. And she and her best friend in the movie had a code word, and their code word was apple pie. And so you would use the code word only in an emergency situation. So if something's popping off with her, it's an emergency, she's feeling threatened, she needs help, then she's going to text you or call you and say apple pie or whatever your code word is. And it has to be a word that you don't normally use and nobody else knows. So because when you hear that word from her or see that word in a text, you know immediately, I need to send some help. I need to call 911. I got to go get her. Now, I'm not suggesting by any means that you go walk into or get involved in an abusive episode, but you and her have already discussed what happens when that code word is used. So you've already worked that out and you know what you need to do. The other thing is pack a bag. Oftentimes things happen, house catch on fire, um, there's an abusive episode and a woman has to flee right then on the spot. And oftentimes it's not just her, it's her and her kids. Well, when you're in the midst of that, you don't have time. um, your adrenaline is running. You can't think about everything you need to grab in an emergency situation. So pack a bag. Have it stored at a best friend's house, at a relative's house. I've even heard of people having a bag at their office, or their job, in the locker or something. So in that bag, you need to have clothes for you and your children. In that bag, you need to have copies of IDs, credit cards, insurance cards, social security cards, prescriptions. Because if you're not able to get back to your home, you have all of that. And it's okay. You don't have to stress about not having it. I would even have an extra phone, maybe a prepaid cell phone, because oftentimes in an abusive situation, the cell phones get damaged. Abusers like to take their victims' cell phones from them because they want to make sure that they can't contact anybody, because that's part of isolation. Another safety thing I would suggest is, and I still do this, and it's backing in to parking spots in the driveway. It's easier to get out if you can just pull out. If you need to run, you need to jump in the car and get away real fast. It's easier to pull off than it is to have to get in, back out, and then try to pull off. A whole lot of stuff can happen in those few minutes trying to do all of that. I have personally been in a situation where I was trying to back out and leave, and a window got bust out my car. So it's easier to pull off and pull out than it is to try to back out and then pull off. Okay. Something I want to say to people in regards to helping a loved one is that please stop telling them, girl, you need to leave. Because my question to you would be, if she leaves, are you opening your house to her? If she leaves, where is she going? If she leaves, how is she going to get to work? How is she going to feed her kids? How do they get to school? So if you don't have the answer to those questions, if you're not willing to help with those things, I'm going to need you to stop saying that. She already knows she needs to leave. She already knows she doesn't deserve that. She needs something better. But she needs you to be a support system, not to just be bugging her and telling her, girl, you need to do this and you need to do that. There's a lot more to leaving an abusive situation than packing a bag and walking out the door. Leaving an abusive situation is, she got to figure out where she's going, where she and her kids will be safe, or as safe as possible. She's got to know that she's going to be able to feed her kids. She's got to know she's going to be able to get to work. Her kids are going to be able to get to school. These are things that has to be thought about on the front end. That's why a safety plan is very important. And if you are assisting, these are things that you can discuss. Girl, I got you. I can help you get to work. I can help you with this. And if you can't help, it's okay. But quit telling her, girl, you need to leave. Because these are things that she has to figure out before she can leave. If you or a loved one are in an abusive situation, I beseech you to please get a safety plan. You can download one from the internet, and by all means, call Daylight 470-671-0222. Call, text me, and I would love to help you and assist you with your safety plan. And doing a safety plan doesn't mean that you're going to leave tomorrow or that you're trying to leave tonight. It's mean that you're just being prepared in case something pops up and in case you need to leave due to an emergency situation. And again, all emergency situations are not violent episodes. It could be a fire. It could be a flood. It could be anything that is deemed an emergency. You know, my dad used to always say, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. That's all you're doing, is you're being prepared, you're being ready. So if something does happen, you don't have to worry about trying to get ready for it. You already got some things in place to at least help you for a couple of days or even a week. Whatever you can fit in your bag, or whatever however you have prepared, because you know what you need to do for you and your kids. All right, it's your girl Daylight. It's October, y'all. It's Domestic Violence Awareness Month. I hope that you are getting out and walking in honor of survivors that you may know and love. I hope that you are getting out and walking in memory of someone taken by domestic violence or gun violence. And I don't understand for the life of me why we don't like talking about these things, because it's real and we hear about it and see it in the news and in media every single day. But thank you for tuning in to the Daylight Experience. This is where empowerment begins with the conversation. Peace.